full script with markers. Must be 1,200 plus words. Midnight, 3 months ago. The detective had no idea that DNA would change the case forever. 0:05. In the heart of New York City, on a cold night in January 2020, a woman was found dead in an alleyway. Her identity was unknown, and she became known as Jane Doe. The police were baffled. 0:30. 4 years. The Jane Doe case remained unsolved. The victim's body was discovered with no identification, and there were no witnesses. The police had no leads, and the case went cold. But then, something unexpected happened. 1 o'clock in 2024, a new detective took over the case. Detective Sarah Johnson was determined to solve the mystery. She started by re-examining all the evidence. The victim's clothing, the location where she was found, and any other clues that might help identify her. 1:30. As Detective Johnson dug deeper, she discovered that the victim had been seen in a nearby bar the night before she was found. She spoke to the bartender, who remembered a woman matching the victim's description. The bartender said the woman had left the bar with a man, but he couldn't remember his name. 2 o'clock. The challenge was clear. Without a name or any other identifying information, it was nearly impossible to find the man who had been seen with the victim. But Detective Johnson refused to give up. She knew that if she could find the man, she might be able to solve the case. 2:30. The detective turned to technology for help. She used facial recognition software to analyze surveillance footage from a bar. The software identified several potential suspects, but none of them matched the description given by the bartender. 3 o'clock, just when it seemed like the case was going nowhere, Detective Johnson got a break. A witness came forward and said they had seen the victim and the man leaving the bar together. The witness provided a description of the man's car, which was a silver sedan. 3:30. With this new information, Detective Johnson was able to narrow down the list of suspects. She focused on men who owned silver sedans and lived in the area. After weeks of investigation, she finally found a suspect who fit the profile. His name was John Smith, and he had a history of violence. 4 o'clock, Detective Johnson confronted John Smith, but he denied any involvement in the crime. He said he had been home the night of the murder and had an alibi. But Detective Johnson wasn't convinced. She knew that DNA evidence could prove whether or not he was involved. 4:30, the detective obtained a warrant to collect DNA samples from John Smith. She sent the samples to a laboratory for analysis. Weeks passed, and the detective waited anxiously for the results. When they finally arrived, they were shocking. The DNA matched the evidence found at the crime scene. 5 o'clock. With this new evidence, Detective Johnson was able to arrest John Smith. He was charged with murder and taken into custody. The case against him was strong, and the DNA evidence was undeniable. But there was still one question that needed to be answered. Who was Jane Doe? 5:30, the detective continued to investigate, and eventually, she was able to identify the victim. Her name was Emily Johnson, and she had been missing for months. Emily's family was relieved to finally know what had happened to her. They thanked Detective Johnson for solving the case and bringing her killer to justice. 6 o'clock, the DNA evidence had solved the Jane Doe murder, and John Smith was convicted of the crime. He was sentenced to life in prison. The case was closed, but the impact of the DNA evidence went far beyond this one case. It showed the power of technology in solving crimes and bringing justice to victims. 6:30, Detective Johnson's work on the Jane Doe case inspired other detectives to use DNA evidence in their investigations. It also led to changes in the way evidence was collected and analyzed. The case became a landmark in the field of forensic science. 7 o'clock, the Jane Doe case was a reminder of the importance of perseverance and determination in solving crime. It also highlighted the role of technology in bringing justice to victims. If you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. We post stories like this every day, and you don't want to miss the next one. 7:30, tomorrow, the sister's revenge 3 months later. Do not miss it. Comment what you think her sister did the next morning. Best guess gets pinned. 8 o'clock, subscribe and hit the bell. We drop new true crime content every single day. The next story is even crazier.